How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Unknown Coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. And as always, if you guys do want access to a private repository, there's a link in the description down below that'll walk through exactly how to get access to that. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and hop into what we're working on today. Today, we're going to go ahead and continue working on reacting to our messages. There's a few more things I need to go ahead and do before we start displaying them. First off, as you can see, whenever this is on the left side, we need to go ahead and shift it over. So we're going to go ahead and work on some logic to go ahead and get that moved over. Also, same thing with this guy. Whenever you do this, you can see that it kind of goes outside the screen. So we want to also go ahead and make it so that flips up to the top. And then once we go ahead and get that refactoring done, we're going to go ahead and start putting the message reactions under here, which are going to be a little bit more refactoring and then a little bit of work also to go ahead and create that component. So again, there's going to be some refactoring, which means there's going to be a lot of chance to break things. So fingers crossed I don't have to do too much debugging here, but that being said, let's go ahead and hop in the code and get to work here. So today we're going to go ahead and start out inside of our message react mode to go ahead and move that over to the side. So what we're going to go ahead and do is underneath our distance, we're going to go ahead and add something called from user. So from user, it's going to be Boolean, and we're going to do something very similar to this a little bit later on as well inside of our other modal. I'm going to go over here and add this from user in here as well. So from user, we're going to go ahead and use this to go ahead and kind of style it specifically. So now I'm going to go ahead and go underneath this emoji clicked. I'm going to go ahead and say const and modal style, and then I'm going to go ahead and create an arrow function that spits out some styling. So I'm going to go ahead and say if from user, we're going to go ahead and return an object, and then otherwise we'll go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and return, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to steal the object out of this guy. So I'm going to go over to our style here, and I'm going to go ahead and copy margin bottom and margin left here. And I'm going to go ahead and delete it and bring it up here. So I believe if it's from user, we're going to go on ahead and return this one. So we're going to go ahead and we'll see what's wrong with it in a second. Return an object. We can go ahead and get rid of this. And then we're going to go ahead and do this, and then we're going to go ahead and get rid of this guy. So if it's from the user, we'll go ahead and return margin left, and I think I accidentally deleted that. There we go. So we'll return margin bottom like this, and we'll return margin left like this. If it's not from the user, we're going to have a margin bottom, and this is going to be backticks, $ curly brace, distance dot, and then bottom. This is going to also be plus 8px, so it's going to be the same. And then we're also going to have a margin left. It's going to be similar, backticks, and then this is going to be minus $ curly brace, distance dot right. And this one we're going to say plus 140px. And let's make sure we put the px on the outside of this. I don't know why it's being mad at me. Px. And then px, like so. So now we're going to go ahead and kind of change up how that's working depending on who sent the message. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is go into our style, and we'll go ahead and call modal style like so. Save that, and that should be good to go. So now if we go back, and actually we can't actually see it inside of the app yet because we need to go back into our message container. So now let's go into the message container and actually add in that from user, and then go ahead and make sure this is working. So let's go ahead and hop into our message container. So now inside of our message container, if we scroll down, we should see an error because we're not passing from user. So let's just scroll down until we find it. There we go. So our message react modal, we need to go ahead and pass in from user. Let's go ahead and say from user like so, and then this is just going to be user's message, and we're going to go ahead and call that. Now it tells whether or not it's from us or not. So now if we go back to the front end, let's just see if this is going to work or if I'm already going to be pulling my hair out. So if we go and refresh just to make sure our CSS is there, go into our messages, we should see message from Rick, and if we try to react, you can see it pushes over to the left. That might be a little bit more than I was wanting, but it is what it is. I think it looks okay. We could probably subtract a little bit more to make it kind of so that this guy is right over the heart, but I think that's going to work out fine. We can see it, and then if it was from us, so we can say message to Rick. And I think I still have a CSS bug that I haven't fixed yet. Let's see. So it looks okay, but if we come in here, it still looks fine. It's centered. So everything's looking good. Now we can go ahead and continue. The other thing that we had an issue with, obviously, is whenever we do this, it cuts it off. So we want to go ahead and flip it. But if we don't have enough space on the bottom, we'll actually show it on the top. So let's hop back into our message more modal and actually get that fixed as well. So let's hop into our message more modal, and there's a couple things we actually need to fix here. So I noticed inside the message more modal, I was playing around with Twitter, it actually has a couple things. So first off, it has an extra the report button if the message isn't from you. And then also we want to go ahead and flip that. So let's go ahead and go into our message more modal props. I'm going to go ahead and put it below distance here. I'm going to go ahead and put in from user once again, which is a Boolean. We're also going to go ahead and add in flip more, which is also a Boolean. So basically, do we want to flip it to go up versus down, and then is it from the user? So let's go ahead and bring those in. Once again, I'll put them behind the distance. So we'll go ahead, whoops, from user and flip more. So that looks good. And we need to go ahead and do some functions. We also need to add, whoops, one more thing that I forgot. We need to add in report clicked. So handle report, whoops, clicked like so, which will be E. That's not E. Maybe E react.mouse event. I completely forgot we're adding another one that I was just talking about, HTML. But if I could type, that'd be cool. Div, whoops, div element, like so. There we go. And this will be a react or a void. What did I break here? Okay, that's fine, I think. And then void. Can't type. And let's go ahead and also add in handle report clicked. I don't know how I forgot about this or like put it on a new line or whatever, but handle report clicked. There we go. So now we have everything we need. Now we need to go ahead and set up something similar with the modal style once again. So we'll go ahead and say const modal style is equal to, and then we're going to go ahead and do one of these guys. So if, once again, from user, and I don't know why we're using from user. I feel like it should be flip more, but maybe we also style it slightly different. I don't know. But if from user, we're going to go ahead and have the same thing because I think we want just distance. Actually, let's see here. I'm trying to see. No, it's the same. I don't know why we have from user in this, but it is what it is. We're going to go ahead and copy this guy here and get it out. And then we're going to go ahead and return and paste that in. And I'll double check to make sure this all looks good before we go back in. But let's just go ahead and prettify this a little bit and do this. There we go. So now we're going to go ahead and have margin top is going to actually be flip more question mark. And if we want to flip more, it'll be margin top minus 132 px and do that. And then otherwise, we'll go ahead and have backticks, $ curly brace, and then it'll be distance, whoops, distance dot top, and then px. So if we want to flip more, we're going to go ahead and put it up a little bit higher, and then margin left is going to stay the same. And then we'll also go ahead and return in here, and then we'll have margin top colon flip more question mark. And I think this one is slightly different. So here we're going to have backticks, $ curly brace, and distance dot top. This one we have minus 140. And then px, why we have it slightly different, I don't know. And then $ curly brace, otherwise it'll be distance dot top px. And I might have just like goofed and wasn't supposed to make them different. We'll see what it looks like to see. I'm just being dumb here. And then margin left will be backticks, $ curly brace, distance dot left, and here we have minus 130. And then we'll go ahead and put px again. We'll see what this looks like. I don't remember why I did it specifically this way. I wrote this code a while back. Now we can go ahead and pass in modal style and call it, and that'll go ahead and update that area or whatever. And then what we need to go and do is below our copy message or reply, I think it says line 42. I'm going to go ahead and guess right here. We're going to go ahead and do one of these, and we're going to go ahead and say not from user, and whoops. And we're going to go ahead and we need to make a new thing here, whatever it's called. We'll have a div with a class name equal to message dash more modal option and then a group. And then here we'll have on, whoops, on maybe I could type on click equal to, and then this will be handle report clicked. And then we need a new SVG. That's what I was trying to say. And then this will say report message beside it. So now we need to go ahead and grab that SVG. So before we do that, let's go ahead and go into our components and set up the SVG component itself. So we'll go ahead and say A, and then this is going to be a report, whoops, message svg.tsx. We'll go ahead and import our SVG props. So SVG props from our global interfaces, and then we'll go ahead and export a default function, export default function, and this is report message SVG, which is going to take in props, which are SVG props. And then we can go ahead and return. And then let's go ahead and grab that from Twitter. So on Twitter, this is what we see whenever we have like someone else's message. So I'm gonna go ahead and inspect. We're gonna go ahead and come over here and get this report message SVG. And I was right, it does go below reply. Let's go ahead and copy this element. We can go ahead and get rid of Twitter now. We don't need it. Then let's go ahead and paste in the SVG. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up and I'll be right back. Cool, that looks good. Let's go ahead and get rid of our class here. We no longer need it. We'll go ahead and just delete it. Go ahead and set height equal to props.height. Go ahead and set width equal to props.width. We'll also go ahead and set up the color. So go ahead and say fill is equal to props.color question mark. If that's the case, it'll be props.color. Otherwise, we'll just go ahead and say #000 for black. Go ahead and save that. We're good to go there. Let's hop back into our React modal, or not our React modal, our more modal. So once again, inside of our message more modal, let's go ahead and add in our report message SVG. So go ahead and say report message SVG. And here we'll have height equal to 20. We'll have width equal to 20 and color will equal to black. Again, we could have just left it blank, but it's fine. So that's good. And this might also be why we added extra space, because we added more of this. Now, before we actually hop back into the front end and look at stuff, we need to go ahead and update a couple things. First, we need to go ahead and update some stuff in the message more modal CSS. So let's go up into the CSS. Inside the CSS, we're going to go ahead and get rid of this height, because now we're just going to kind of fit content and be as high as we want, because each of these message more option groups have a height of 44. So that's fine. We're also going to go ahead and throw a Z index here. I don't remember why I ended up needing the Z index, but we're going to go ahead and add it as anyway. We're just going to go ahead and put that as 999, and that's good to go. Now we can go ahead and hop back into the message container to get our message more modal working once again. So inside of our message container, as you can see, our message more modal is complaining. We need to go ahead and set up a couple more pieces of state, or one more piece of state. So we're going to go ahead and say const, and this is going to go ahead and be flip more, and set flip more is equal to use state. And here, this is just going to be a Boolean, and we're going to go ahead and pass in false. And this is going to determine whether or not we want to go ahead and flip it to be facing upwards. So we're going to come down to where our message more is and do a little bit more work. Underneath of this stuff, we're going to go ahead and say if our window dot inner height minus, not equal to, minus more ref dot current dot get bounding client rec dot top is less than 132. So that's kind of like the minimum height this is going to be. We go ahead and set flip more to true. So then we don't have enough space, so we want to go ahead and flip it. And then otherwise, if I could type, that'd be cool. Otherwise, we'll set flip more to false, and then we can go ahead and use this and make sure we actually created set flip more. I think I did. Flip more, set flip more, that's fine. And then we can come down here to where our more modal is, and we need to go ahead and add some stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit, because this is getting pretty big. Let's just go ahead and quickly do this. So underneath distance, we'll go ahead and add in from user. So from user is going to equal to users message, and that will go ahead and determine that. We'll also go ahead, and if I could type, that'd be cool. Stop fat fingering stuff. We'll also add flip more, which will just be equal to flip more. Probably need to actually add it, but it is what it is. We'll go ahead and add handle copy clicked, handle reply clicked, maybe. And then we'll also go ahead and add in handle report clicked. So underneath our handle reply clicked, let's go ahead and add in that handle report clicked. So handle report, report clicked. I cannot do anything properly today, I guess. Report clicked be equal to, and we'll just set up as an arrow function, like so for now, and that looks good. So let's go ahead and save that. It should compile now, and now fingers crossed I didn't break anything or scuff anything, and this just wants to work, and hopefully all the spacing and stuff looks good. So let's go ahead and hop back in to our front end and see if this is looking okay. So we are compiling, so that's good. Let's just refresh to see if this wants to look okay. So if we open this guy up and open this guy up, and if we go ahead and click on this, you can see we have report message, although something didn't quite work properly for report message. I probably typoed something, but if we come in here, you can see it goes upwards. So it looks pretty good. I probably typoed a class name for this. So let's go ahead and fix that class name, and we should be good to go here. Let's hop back into that message more CSS. We actually wanted TSX because we wanted the message. I added an extra a message more modal option group. Now it should probably look okay. Now if we come in here, that looks a lot better. Looks good. We also need to work on making sure we can get all the way down to delete message. It looks like it worked fine that time. Sometimes it's a little bit finicky whenever you're leaving this. I'm going to work on that in a different episode. I'm not going to work on it right now because it's outside the scope. Also, you can see this is a bug. This isn't supposed to be here whenever we're inside of like a group message. Again, a bug that I'm going to work on next episode probably. So now with that being said, we need to do some stuff with our emojis to go ahead and get them showing up properly whenever we react to a message. So let's hop into our emoji utils and get that working. And we'll finally be able to make a component which contains all of our reactions. So inside of our emoji utils, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here. There should be a function that kind of does something similar to what we're going to go and do. So I'm going to go ahead and group it with that one. So here we have a get emoji character by name and modifier. I'm actually going to go ahead and put it above, and this is going to be export const. It's going to be get emoji image, and it's going to be by emoji ASCII. So we're going to go ahead and get it by like the actual string character. So go ahead and pass in ASCII string and string, and I was gonna call this like get emoji by emoji, but that didn't really make much sense. So we're gonna go ahead and let emoji be an emoji or undefined like that, and then we're gonna go ahead and say for let e of emojis. We're gonna loop through all of our emojis. We're gonna say if e dot emoji is equal to the ASCII character, then we'll go ahead and say emoji is equal to e. And then what we'll go ahead and do is we'll say if we have an emoji, we're gonna go ahead and return emojis dot emoji dot images of 0. It's gonna go ahead and return the default. This one probably should be able to look at the different skin colors, but I think this is one of those things that I don't really care. We're just gonna keep it default just to make it a little bit easier. This series has been going on for 2 years. I don't want to get into the too ticky-tacky. Otherwise, they're going to go ahead and return an empty string. I am trying to finish this up within the next year. I'm hoping that during Christmas break here in the next coming month, I can go ahead and grind out most of it and just have episodes on deck. So I'm going to start working on the next series. With that being said, we have this guy, and now we can go ahead and create our actual container that holds all of our reactions. It's a pretty simple container, but we needed this to help us out. So let's go into our Explorer, and we'll go ahead and go into our messaging components, and this is going to be MessageReaction container. Container slash message reaction container.tsx. Also go ahead and create our message reaction container.css, and let's hop into the TSX. And here we'll import React from React, maybe. And we'll also go ahead and import the / message reaction container.css. And we'll also go ahead and export const. Our message reaction container is a react.fc, and this is just going to take in a object with a message of type message. Make sure we get the message from our global interfaces, and then we'll break apart the message. Again, we didn't technically have to pass the message in this way. We could have gotten it from somewhere else, except here, yes, we did, because we're looping through all the messages. So ignore what I'm saying. I'm just dumb. We'll say const reactions is equal to our message. We'll go ahead and just break that apart to make our lives a little bit easier. We'll also go ahead and say const logged in is equal to, and then use selector. And then we'll go ahead and have our state, which is root states, if I could type. And then we'll go ahead and say state.user, like so. So that's good to go. Next, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to go and return our div. So return, and then div class name is equal to message-reaction-container. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to loop through some grouped reactions, because the way Twitter does it is if there's multiple reactions to a single one emoji, it'll group them together, and then it'll kind of list them out that way. So this is what makes this a little bit more complicated. After we have this guy set up and we're good to go here, we're going to go ahead and say const and then grouped reactions and set grouped reactions. We need to go ahead and group these together for display. It's going to be equal to use state. And this is going to be a little bit complicated. It's going to be an array. And then inside the array, whoops, I didn't mean to do it this way. It's going to be an array like so. There we go. And I just broke everything. Cool. And then inside the array is going to be an object with count of number, the reaction, whoops, of string. And we'll also have the user IDs who did it. So user IDs, which will be a number array. So I might need to restart my IntelliJ, or not my IntelliJ. I might have to restart this guy because I think I just broke it. And use state should be done like this. That's where I was trying getting the other guy. And like this, make it open and then do that. So I might have broken my LSP. So I'm going to go ahead and just restart my NeoVim real quick and I'll be right back. Yes, my LSP was very not happy with me right there. So this is good to go. Now we might run into an issue later on whenever we have to look at mapping through the users, because there's a little pop-up that we're going to get to next episode that kind of shows who did what and lets you undo your reaction, but we'll get to that later. Now underneath here, we're going to go ahead and say const group reactions, and this will actually go through and group the reactions for us. This logic is somewhat simple. So we're going to say let reaction map equal to a new map, and this is going to be string and a reaction array. So we're going to go ahead and map them by the reaction itself, the string reaction, and then we're going to go ahead and have that list of reactions. And we're going to go ahead and say let our reaction count object be an array. And this is kind of ugly as well. And this is going to be our count, which is number. It's going to have our reaction, which is a string. It's going to have our user IDs, which is a number array. If I was smart, I would have just made this an interface or something, but it is what it is. I'm going to say for let our reaction of the reactions that we have up there. We're going to say if we do not have a reaction map, so if not reaction map has, and then this is kind of dumb, you have to do it this way, but we're gonna go ahead and say backtick $ curly brace reaction. So if we don't have this already in our list, we're gonna go ahead and say reaction map set, and we're gonna go ahead and say backticks again $ curly brace reaction, and then this should be reaction, I'm sorry, comma, empty string. So if we do not have that in there yet, we're going to go ahead and save that. Let's go ahead and bring in our reaction. So that way we know for sure whenever we try to add in our reaction to the array, it'll actually exist and won't break. Now go ahead and say let reaction list equal to reaction map.get, and we're going to do the same thing, backticks $ curly brace reaction. We'll go ahead and get that list. It's still going to be dumb because of TypeScript, so we're going to say if reaction list like so. If we have it, we're going to say reaction list dot push our reaction, and then we can go ahead and say reaction map dot set, and once again we'll do our backticks $ curly brace reaction, and then we'll go ahead and append our reaction list again, and it'll update it. So that'll go ahead and map that out for us. And now what we want to go and do, if after we got all of those inside of there, we'll say reaction map dot for each. We'll go ahead and map through each record inside of here. So this is going to say value, which is going to be a reaction array, and then our key will be a string, and that's going to be the reaction itself. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to say let user IDs equal to value.map r for reaction, and we'll go ahead and say r.reaction user.user ID like so, and that'll go ahead and map that to an array. And then we'll also go ahead and say reaction count object is equal to, and this is going to be count, it's going to be value.length. We're going to go ahead and have our reaction, which is the key, maybe. And then from here, we'll also have user IDs, which is going to help us out to know who did what. And let's see what I broke here. Count value.length. What is the problem with this? Did I misspell count? Count is a number. That's fine. Reaction count object. Did I spell? I might need to set this equal to an empty array. Probably mad at me. Okay, that part got fixed. Now what's wrong with count? Count is a number. Value.length. What is the issue with this? Oh, we need to go ahead and say dot push this. Push equal to go ahead and wrap this in curly braces. I did a small typo there. There we go, that's better. So we'll go ahead and push one of those new objects with the count reaction key, and that just goes through all the records in there. And finally, go ahead and say set grouped reactions, maybe like so, to our reaction count object. And that should be an array, but it is what it is. That looks pretty good. Now we just need to go ahead and actually set this whenever we load. So go ahead and say use effect to go ahead and do this. And this is going to be called whenever reactions change. So go ahead and say reactions. And in here, we're just going to go ahead and say group reactions. So whenever we get new reactions, we'll go ahead and group them together so they look good. That's good to go. And now we can go ahead and say if logged in and if our grouped reactions dot map will map through each reaction. And let's go ahead and do this. So here we're going to go ahead and return. We're going to return a div with a class name equal to, and this is going to be backticks. We need curly braces backticks message dash reaction, and then $ curly brace reaction dot user IDs dot includes. This is kind of ugly. Logged in dot user ID. So if it includes our user ID, we're going to say question mark. It's going to be message dash reaction dash outlined. If not, it'll be an empty string. So now we can open up that div, and let me just make sure we don't have any errors. And then we can go ahead and have an image class name equal to, and this will be message dash reaction dash emoji. src is going to be equal to reaction. Actually not going to be reaction, it's going to be get emoji image by emoji ASCII, and then we're going to pass in reaction dot reaction like so. And then here alt is going to be equal to, and then reaction emoji, that way it doesn't yell at us. That looks good. And then we'll go ahead and have a p class name, and this one's a little bit finicky because it's dependent on like what the emoji is, but it's going to be message dash reaction dash count. This one kind of just looks a little bit strange sometimes. That's going to be reaction dot count, and it's just strange because of the spacing. It's a little bit weird depending on how big the emoji actually is, because like for example, like the pointing up emoji has a little bit less space, a little bit thinner than like the thumbs up, things like that, but it is what it is. So this looks good. Now let's go ahead and style this guy. So let's hop into the CSS, and before I do that, actually let's go ahead and fix this typo that I have here. Now let's go and hop into the CSS. So this is pretty simple. Message dash reaction dash container. So here we'll have a max dash width of 223 px. This is like the max width of our message. Width will just be fit dash content. We'll go ahead and have a height, not f height of 30 px. We'll have a display of flex. We'll go ahead and justify content in the flex start for the heck of it. We'll go ahead and align items in the center. We'll go ahead and have a border, of none, because we're going to go ahead and have a border dash radius, not right, radius of 15 px. We'll have an overflow hidden, and we'll also go ahead and have an overflow y of auto. I don't think that we should ever run into this, but just in case we have too many people in a group chat and they all react or something, we can at least scroll through them side to side. I have a .message dash reaction dash container colon hover, and here we'll have cursor pointer. We'll have a background dash color, and this one's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be pound E1 E8 and then ED. It's like our light gray color. Now we'll have our actual reaction. So .message dash reaction, and here we'll have a width of 50 px. We'll have a height of 30 px. We'll have a background, ground dash color of transparent. I don't know why transparent isn't showing up, so that is kind of concerning. Did I spell something incorrect? Yes, I did. Background dash color transparent. There we go. A border dash radius of 15 px. We're gonna have a display of flex, but I'm gonna go ahead and put cursor pointer on it first, and we'll have a display of flex. We're gonna go ahead and have a justified content in the center, align items in the center, and we'll have a small gap, gap of 1 px. Next we'll have a message-reaction-outline. And here we'll just have a border of 1 px solid, and then again pound E1 going to be E1 E8 ED again, and then we just have a couple more here. I know it's getting pretty long. We'll have a dot message-reaction-emoji. So the emoji itself is going to have a width of 24 px, and it's going to have a height of 24 px. And finally, our message-reaction-count. So here we'll set our margin to 0, set our padding to 0, and we're going to go ahead and have a font size of 11 px, pretty small. Font weight of 400, and then make this 400, not 500. And then finally we'll have a color of our 657786, and I typoed pretty bad here. 6577, make sure we put the pound there we go. So there's the CSS that should be imported, and now we get to do the fun part of probably breaking everything because we put it in the wrong area. I know we're getting long here, so I'm gonna try to go ahead and wrap it up. So let's hop into the message container and hopefully not have to do too much debugging. So now the message container, we had to put these in a specific location, and it goes, I think, above where we have the show C syntax and stuff like that. And I think I added some code to fix this, and I think I might have forgotten to add it in here, so I might go back and find that, or I might add it into the next episode. I don't know, but there's a bug with show syntax. I'll probably just go ahead and deal with it next episode. But anyway, I believe what we want to go ahead and do is we want to go ahead and put this above the message subtitle. We need to do this in both locations. We're going to go ahead and add a div with a class name equal to, and here we're going to go ahead and have message-reaction-write-wrapper. And inside here, we're going to go ahead and have a message.reactions.length is greater than 0. If that's the case, we're going to go ahead and have an and, maybe. And then inside of here, we'll go ahead and add in that message reaction. So reaction container. In here, we'll say message is equal to message. Go ahead and close that, and we need to do the same thing down here. So in our gray message, we're going to do the same thing underneath our content. And I think I'm trying to think where I actually put this. I don't know if I put it inside the message group or not. It says 154. I'm going to guess it's right here. Div class name is equal to message-reaction-left-wrapper. And again, if these are in the not quite right place, I'll go through and I'll find where exactly they go. Message.reactions length is greater than 0 in this, and then here we'll also go ahead and put in our message reaction container. Our message will equal to message. So I misspelled length, of course I did. And then there's one more thing we need to do. We need to set up these message reaction left wrapper and the wrapper inside the CSS. So let's hop into our message container.css and set that up. So here, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and put them below the message blue and message gray, or maybe message subtitle. So we'll say dot message dash maybe reaction dash and then left dash wrapper. So here we'll have a margin dash left of 48 px. We'll have a margin dash top of 4 px. And then we'll also go ahead and have our message reaction right wrapper. So dot message dash reaction dash right dash wrapper. And all this is going to have is a margin dash top of 4 px. So now here is kind of like the moment of truth. If I did this right, did it wrong. Let's just hop into the front end, make sure everything's compiling, and try to make some reactions. So if I go ahead and refresh, fingers crossed, my heart's pounding here because I don't want to debug all day. So if I go ahead and try to react to a message and do a heart, you can see we have the heart. Now it didn't quite work because we're missing an outline, so we need to go ahead and see what's going on with that. But this is actually working the way it's supposed to, so we need to debug why the heart or the outline's not there. If we do this, it should go away. As you can see, we put a thumbs down, it's back. You can see the 1 there. We go ahead and hop back into our Postman and make another reaction of a thumbs down for like Morty or something. We should see that this counts to 2 hopefully. So react, we'll go ahead and do 2. and let me find the thumbs down online. So we go ahead and put in thumbs down here. Should be 2 thumbs downs. We send it. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Okay, so I guess I didn't immediately update it. So that's going to be something we need to look at. It's probably because we don't have a, whatever it's called, a WebSocket throwing that back and forth. And then you can see there's thumbs down. And if we had other ones, it should also add in there as well. So let's go ahead and hop in here. We'll go ahead and make this 3. We'll go ahead and add, like, I don't know, a smiley face or something. Again, it's not going to update immediately because we don't have a WebSocket for updating messages. So if we go ahead and refresh it again and hop into messages, we should see 2 of them in there. You can see we have 2 of them. Again, it looks a little bit strange. It's just because of the spacing and stuff of the emojis, and like the thumb is smaller, but this is what it's supposed to look like. Now, I don't know why the outline's not working, so let's check into that. So instead of a MessageReaction container, we have our reaction.usersids.includes logged-in.userid. And let me double check this code. So let's see, reaction.userids.includes logged-in.userid !message reaction outlined. So I wonder if I typoed or something and we added the user ID, so that should be there. Let's see if I typoed something, and let's go ahead and I'm going to copy this really quick. Go back to the CSS. So yes, I did. There should be a D at the end of this outlined. So go ahead and put that in there, save it. And we might also want to do some logic to make mine come first every time. And then you can see it's outlined. I think on Twitter, it's always yours comes first. So that might be some extra logic to throw in there. But I think it looks pretty good. Next episode, we're going to go ahead and fix it so that whenever we hover over this, it's not right here. That should be easy enough. We might be able to get away with some like CSS stuff to do that, but I don't know. And then also whenever you click on this, it's supposed to pop up all the people that went ahead and reacted and be able to actually undo yours and see what other people did. So we're going to also work on that. But with that being said, I think we're going to wrap this up. It went a little bit longer than I wanted just because we had to do a lot of refactoring and whatnot. But as always, if you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you don't want to go ahead and pay for that private repository, there's a playlist linked in the description down below or inside of the card that I go ahead and walk through everything that we've done in this project, every single video. So go ahead and check that out. But as always, guys, this has been Ethan Coder. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you all in the next video.